they'll go out and they'll come back in. Now I will begin. Chapter 6, The Healing of the Nations. There is much that you can do awakening in the 1980s and 1990s to help ease this transition for the human family. The history of the next 2 decades is a blank slate waiting for those who will welcome my spirit into their lives. Human history has been defined in fear. I invite my incarnate spirits to assist me now in wrapping it up gently as a gift, drawing out the best of what has been and guiding all things into my eternal presence. I call upon you who have been drawn to these words and who are able to understand them, to use your intelligence, your ingenuity, all of the cultural tools of expression that are available to you for the one purpose of helping me ease this greatest of all human transitions. These next few years are like the birthing of a child. Help to make the birth gentle. Use your cultural skills to design media presentations that will draw the sleeping of your species up out of the illusions that bind them. Guide your local and national decision makers to the greatest of all resources, intelligence. Do your leaders count among their resources the intelligence of the Creator, who fashioned your world in the womb of time? The intelligence capable of orchestrating the diversity of all the cells in the human body is equally capable of orchestrating the diversity of the human family. This is accomplished not through the imposition of anything foreign, but through the removal of everything foreign, through the removal of the fear-rooted images and illusions that historically have obscured human perception of reality. My intelligence is available for the asking, willing to help in the resolution of any problem where it is invited. If you would clear the space for the resolution of your national and international conflicts, the individuals responsible for each nation must come to one simple decision. The decision to give God a chance to make an opening for the insight I would offer. I enter everywhere I am invited. I enter the consciousness of all who pray. People who welcome me frequently grow accustomed to how my awareness comes. They become proficient at representing my perspectives with a minimum of distortion. My perceptions comes to influence their decision-making processes. Conflict ends, peace spreads. There is someone who understands what you are facing, someone who understands and who knows the policies that will lead to peace and planetary abundance. There is someone who understands being behind all being. Welcome me, my children. Welcome me into your affairs. Let me remove the fearful images that have obscured your perception. Let me help you see clearly what is happening on earth and the course that is to your advantage. The spiritual essence of each nation assists in a state of harmony with the spiritual essence of every other nation. The historical conflict between nations has never been between the essences of nations, only between the images of nations. Governmental structures can accept the challenge of truly representing the collective spirit of their people, or they can accept the false image of themselves cast by commercial greed, rooted in fear. Fear-rooted images conflict. They fit together no better than pieces of a puzzle, each encased in ice. Fear has distorted international relationships. It has done so by first distorting individual perception. Nations are healed because people are healed. A man who accepts an image of himself as being the reality of who he is does not know himself. It makes no difference if such an image is good or bad, whether it is of the man's own design or projected by others. Such a man is out of touch with his own spirit, unfamiliar with the reality of his own nature, living a myth and not a life. A woman who looks to others to define her role, indeed her very sense of who she is likewise out of touch with her essence, cut off from her own spiritual nature. Such individuals know that they do not know themselves. In their relationships, they are afraid that their self-ignorance might be exposed. The individual with a self-image to maintain is fundamentally afraid. This is why people have shields. This is why people have spears. This is why people have swords. They are afraid of coming to know something inside of themselves. It is my desire to put you back in touch with your own forgotten intentions, to remind each one of you why you chose to incarnate upon this earth, and why you find yourself grouped with the people of a certain nation. It is through separating you from your soul's purpose that the fallen world has been maintained. Only in continuing to separate you from your own roots, from your own spirit, can the historical illusion persist. I look into the heart of each nation and I see a child, a beautiful child, waiting for recognition and release. There is no contention between any of my nations, only between images and illusions cast in fear. The political overlays that will survive this transition will be those that represent the spirit of the people behind them. It is to each government's advantage to harmonize its activities with the spirit of its homeland. Each nation's spirit is an aspect of my eternal spirit, designed to animate the populations of a geographical area, designed to inspire my creative pursuits in that location. Each of my national spirits complements every other. Behind all national differences is a substructure of essential relatedness, a practical and organic design capable of guiding healthy national interaction. The nations of the earth are not asked to accept the imposition of any external authority, but to turn instead to their own forgotten spiritual heritage, to examine more closely their own roots, their national passions and interest, to begin intelligently working with their own forgotten spiritual purposes. My coming does not imply the end of diversity. I am the context that will permit a blossoming of human diversity, such as this earth has never seen. Like the cells and developing organs of a body, there are over 200 different kinds of cells in the human body, each with a distinct design and a specific purpose. Each of these different kinds or nations of cells has its own unique national perspective. It is precisely these unique perspectives that make the overall coordinated function of the healthy body possible. You do not find the adrenals conceiving of themselves as some kind of ethnic minority, infringed upon by the adjacent and much larger kidneys. You do not find the blood cells imagining that they are an aloof commercial civilization. The many organs and systems of the healthy human body work together for their overall coordinated function of the whole, and so shall it be in the human family. National leadership has its primary challenge to open up the channels of communications with the source of all intelligence, the same source it will discover as it aligns itself with the spirit of its people. I wait only for the leaders of each nation to ask, to pray, and I will make clear to them a course of national action that is in the best interest of all their people. Let those responsible for each nation set aside a single day, just one day, when all outer activity shall be kept to a minimum, when the elders in your village on earth will gather around the campfire to watch together for the signs of something beyond their ken. Many cultures have done this. If this civilization is not to be called Christian in vain, let then there be such a day, a single day, a day of prayer. Make an opening into your events. Chapter 7, Nations in Transition. I am a singular being. My body is the biosphere of this planet. The human family is my awakening organ of intelligence. The purpose of the 20th century is to facilitate my conscious incarnation. Those who choose to align themselves with the strengthening energy field of my presence as it grows in influence upon the earth shall be healed and drawn into the abundance of the age to come. Survival into the third millennium is reserved for the spiritually fit. The key to survival is not competition, but cooperation. Spiritual fitness is not aggression. It is fitting in with the purposes of the earth and with the purposes of her Creator, as these larger purposes blend in human exchange. To the nations of the earth I make this promise, that if you welcome my intelligence into your decision-making processes, and if your emphasis is on forgiveness and cooperation rather than confrontation, the people of your land will experience wealth beyond imagining. And this wealth will not be at the expense of any other, but will contribute to the well-being of all. Let no nation be judged on the basis of the current wealth. Even America is impoverished by the yardstick of tomorrow. Let nations who have not opened their hearts seek my guidance and ask for my intercession. Wherever I am welcome, I draw those who have invited me up into a new perception. These nations who welcome my spirit into their affairs will perceive wealth in abundance. They will see that wealth and energy are the one and the same. Energy has many specific points of appearance. Human beings have discovered a few of these, but there are many forms of energy that humans have yet to recognize. Every form of energy is a channel through which one source energy flows. I am the source of all energy. Behind all forms of energy, I love. When love is involved in human affairs, it has a magnetic influence, drawing energy. If the love is sufficient and the need is present, love will create an opening through which the one source energy will flow. At one point during the years of wandering, the children of Israel had sufficient love in the heart of their nation to create the form of energy that they required. The collective attraction of their love at that moment was sufficient to draw water out of the dusty desert rock. Wherever love is in expression, it creates a channel. The one source energy flows through that channel in the most useful form. The earth will never, could never run out of energy. Even in the directions humans have been looking, energy resources are far from exhausted. However, as you rise up to join me in my love and come to share my perception, you will see countless new directions in which to explore for your energies. New directions that will make all the energy humans have consumed since the beginning of time appear as a solitary candle flame by comparison. just as the Israelites wandered in the desert, had sufficient love to create energy where energy was not. So each nation, honoring love, united in love, sharing in my perception, can enjoy energy and prosperity in abundance. I want the nations to see as I do. They would quickly lose interest in arguing over the few bits of wealth noticed to date. The wealth of a nation is derived from the love generated by the people of that nation. The abundance that is enjoyed by the people of North America is but the first small hint of the prosperity that all people and all nations will enjoy after the banishment of fear. America's wealth is not derived from her military and commercial policies. In fact, too frequently, these policies have limited the abundance that might otherwise have appeared. The blessings that have been showered on the United States of America have appeared for this reason and this reason alone. Through the American people, one of the greatest fears of the fallen era, the fear of difference, is being eliminated from collective human consciousness. America is an example to the world, not for superficial government policy, but for the blending of races and people that occurs daily on her streets, corners, in her marketplaces, in her schools, churches, and factories. In the United States, people from historically antagonistic nations have come to live, work, play, and raise their children together. In the degree that they have learned respect and cooperation, America has prospered. The reunion of the tribes is significant, for in the willingness of the once scattered peoples of the earth to join together and interact as a single nation, it is as though the scattered brushes and magnets of a great electrical generator were being reassembled. The nations of the earth are designed to interact in a manner that creates energy in forms and quantities that you have no present way of comprehending. The greatest block to prosperity is fear, for it obstructs the flow of life itself. Where the currents of my love are restricted, abundance cannot appear. Wherever fear is honored as the source of human motivation, there is always a shortage of energy. Wise as serpents, gentle as doves, those active in my intelligence, flowing in the currents of my love, are taking the time to assist human businesses and governments in the great transfer of authority. Gradually, my intelligence is weaving the way into the logic of the earth's decision makers. As my presence grows on earth, I will disrupt no human society, organization, or system that is organized in love. Even military organizations founded in fear have structures and resources in their control that can be reorganized along the lines of love and turned to good purpose. Do not allow the conspicuous military postures of a half dozen nations to deceive you. I have been working within human societies for many centuries, and I can assure you that your world is far more peaceful today than at any prior time in your history. The emotional climate of the earth is changing. There is a general relaxation of tensions and a growing reluctance to resort to violent solutions. As my consciousness increases upon the earth, more and more people, including many national leaders, are coming to realize that violence is poor survival strategy. Such ones may or may not be able to sense my presence, yet my presence helps them, nevertheless, to see the falsehood of the whole fearful mode of operation. Violence can only occur where there is a lack of intelligence, and daily the field of my creative intelligence strengthens in all who love. Rejoice, my people, I am here among you. My presence enfolds your planet. My life sings even now in the majority of human hearts. Daily, the number of awakened ones grows. There will be no nuclear holocaust. In truth, it was never possible, for no solar activity appears on Earth without my participation. The Earth now has the most intelligent people behind the scenes of its international affairs that it has seen in centuries. They have blind spots and fears yet to release, as do most of you. But if you would work in my consciousness with me, you must accept that some of these are already among my own. There are no dragons to slay, only people to be healed, educated, and loved. To the nations of the earth who have invested in armies and armaments, my message is this: have no guilt regarding your military preparedness, for I know how the old world has been. But earnestly now began the transition. Withdraw your trust from the strength of weapons and invest it in the strength of your Creator. Trust in my presence as you once trusted in your weapons, and I will guarantee security beyond any you can now conceive. If your nation has the military capability to invade others, become a model for all nations. Use your influence to make people less inclined to fear. It is not my wish that any nation should invest in greater military strength, for wherever my intelligence is made welcome, this is not necessary. Still, it is not my wish that all militaries be immediately disbanded. During times of fundamental human transition, disciplined human organizations can be of valuable service. There is no judgment upon any who serve in military forces or who have militaries at their command, provided they pray for my guidance and begin the transition I suggest. Transitional forms can assist people in moving from the old world into the new. However, if these forms are to be truly served my purpose and not simply to be dissolved themselves in the growing strength of my presence, they will have to remain fluid, ever changing, ever flowing, ever drawing the people associated with them closer to the currents of my love. Where forms stagnate, they cease to be transitional, and so join the rigid structures of fear, already dissolving, melting, as snows beneath the warming rains of spring. In my presence, peace is not a goal, but the background of all that occurs.